Hey, everybody, and we are live with Office Hours. Is it number 17 already? I can't believe it's already been 17 weeks. I think 17 weeks in a row of getting to spend 30 minutes with you all and sharing my insights into careers, the military transition, networking, LinkedIn, and all the above. So today I'm here without Olivia, who is on PTO. So I'm running the whole show by myself. So if I click on something wrong, give me the benefit of the doubt. Um, as we get started, I wanted to mention one of our sponsors at DLA Finance. So I don't know if many of you have caught this in some of our posts recently, but we are helping the Defense Logistics Agency finance team bring more people from our community to their roles. And so they have roles in Philadelphia, they have Richmond, they have Fort Belvoir, they have San Antonio, they have Battle Creek, Michigan, and Columbus, Ohio. And these are roles that are anything from, there's 5 basic groups. There's a financial analyst, a financial liaison, a business analyst, and then accounting and accounting systems roles. These are government civilian positions. These are federal, defense, but government civilian positions they're leading into. And we have the opportunity to help them bring in SkillBridge candidates for internships that lead into these roles, and also service members, veterans, and military spouses that are all eligible for direct hire or rapid hire authority. So if you are interested in any of these opportunities, I encourage you to check out hiremilitary.us or go to the Hire Military website, and you'll be able to find our roles. And you can always send me, Amber Pickin, or Lucy Robinson a message and ask for more details. So, all right. So as we talk about DLA Finance, now we'll get into some of the content. I had to make notes. This is a big one. November 1st was the 7-year anniversary of me retiring from the Army. And I will tell you, 7 years seems like it was overnight, and it also seems like a lifetime ago. But on the anniversary of my retirement from the Army, I shared some 10 things that I've learned in the 7 years since then. And I kind of want to go through that first with all of you and give you a little insight. So the post happened on November 1st. You can go back to my profile and check it out. But the first thing that I learned is that the first job you get out of the military is not going to be your forever job. It is your first job, right? The transition isn't over when you get a job. The transition is kind of like your life is a transition. And so I got out, I got an amazing first job as a director of workforce management for a federal IT company that went from 200 to 500 people. I thought I was going to be there for years. 8 months in, I'd done all the major tasks that the CEO hired me to do. I'd grown significantly, filled a bunch of gaps, and there just wasn't enough room for me to grow fast enough. And so I moved over to somewhere where there was at Ernst & Young as a senior manager of people advisory services, and continued to grow in different ways with the support of a different group of people, different contracts, everything. And then after 2.25 years, I realized I wanted to do something on my own and moved full-time into Tenova LLC and Hire Military. And so, and I've even grown here where I was a CEO for a few years, and now brought in a new business partner and CEO that, has a lot of knowledge, skills, and experience that complements mine. And I'm the chief growth officer because that's where I felt that I could have the most impact. And so, life is a series of transitions. So understand that you need to set 5-year post-military goals that could flex, not just set a get a job goal, which most of us do. Number 2, network is everything out here. There's a statement when it comes to business out here, and we buy from whom we trust, and trust comes from relationships. So when you think about it, if you're going to buy sneakers, you can go Nike, you can go Adidas, you can go New Balance, you can go whatever. A lot of you have a brand you choose, and that comes because of your relationships with that brand. You trust them to give you a good product. It's the same thing with, whether you go iPhone or Android, right? It's usually based off relationships and trust. And so when it comes to, career growth, when it comes to career within an organization, finding jobs, getting things done out here, sales, everything comes off relationships. And so I encourage you all to start building relationships early and continue to build them after you get out. Do not be the person that gets a job, says thanks everyone, and disappears for 8 months or 10 months or a year until they're looking again. And then, hey, I'm back. Don't be the I'm back email or message on LinkedIn. Continue to invest in growing relationships for your career. And now the next thing, part number 3, I will share, I'll get rid of the comments. I will share that I hear a lot of people say, especially senior military leaders say, they're just hiring you for your role, for your Rolodex. And what I mean by that is they're saying they're hiring you to get access to your relationships, but after 2 years, your Rolodex isn't good anymore, and they're gonna let you go. And I have to explain to people that if your job is business development and your Rolodex is stale after 2 years, you deserve to be let go. It is your job to build and maintain relationships in that community. And so 2 years after me getting out, my network was 10x what it was when I got out. Now, probably 1,000 times stronger than it was when I was Sergeant Major Quinn. And so what I just tell people is, continue to invest in building and growing your community. When I got to Ernst & Young, the first thing I did in that first week was connect with like hundreds of partners, principals, managing directors, senior managers in my office, in my service line, in my sector, and then the big leadership of the firm. And I just, continued to engage. And what that did was they got used to seeing my picture, my name, my headline, and positive content over the course of several months. And they all felt like they knew me. Relationships matter. And so I never had to worry about having opportunity or people wondering what I was doing because they got to see me every day, right? Grow that network. Learn to make business decisions. Number 4. In the military, you kind of have an unlimited budget. And before people argue with me on this, like, I know you have a budget to spend, right? Like you have X amount of dollars to procure this, buy this much paper, end of your furniture purchases, all that stuff, right? But when it comes to manpower and how you're going to work your people, you kind of have unlimited resources. You can say, don't go home until that's done. You can have people stay over. You can have people come in. You can have people work more than 40 hours, right? I mean, geez, I don't know when I worked less than 60 hours in my last 10 years in. But out here, there's a cost associated to all of that. There's a cost for overtime. There's a cost in what opportunities are you losing by that effort. There's a dollar figure to a lot of it. And so what you have to learn out here is that you have to decide, make business decisions. You add an additional equation of what's the dollar figure associated with that. So I remember when I was first out and I wanted to pursue these opportunities and, like these contract opportunities that I was passionate about. And I had to go to these go, no-go briefings with leadership. And I was like, why do I have to say these are these don't cost anything? Like, you don't have to write a check for me to pursue these. And they're like, no, it does cost something. You are spending 20 hours on this. You have other people spending hours on this. You're having people create products for this. It actually could cost us tens of thousands of dollars, right? Of productivity that could be spent elsewhere. And so I was like, oh. And so now, I have to learn to make those decisions when I ask people to do things, when I do things. Where do I spend my time? The opportunities we partner with. We talk about P-win, potential win, and P-money, potential to make money off of it. You got to figure out whether you want to go after those and invest the time, and what are your opportunities to win before you invest time, effort, money, resources into it. So those business decisions. Now, I would have had a lot of that information and I sat in the budget, finance, contracting meetings with the officers I supported. Unfortunately, as a sergeant major, I'm not proud of this, but anytime there was like, oh, now we're going to shift into the budget or contracting or finance, when ever went like that, I was like, oh, I got to go check on soldiers because I wasn't comfortable And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't think it was in my area of responsibility. And so I fled those meetings. I knew nothing about contracting, any of that. I even had one of my mentors, Franklin Saunders, he used to be the G2 Sergeant Major for the Army, say you should go to the COR course. And I didn't do it. And it set me back it took me about 2 years of hard work to learn enough to be able to navigate the defense contracting, make the business decisions, all that stuff. And I'm still learning now. And so I even in my last week, I had a general officer transition course for the Army. And I actually asked all the generals to make their sergeants majors sit in those meetings with them, because that leadership, that executive presence without business acumen is not worth much at all. And you all need it. And so hopefully many of you do that. I think I actually had a conversation with the Futures Command commanding general that said it was very insightful, and that it was something we needed to consider. So I was happy about that. Number 6, taxes. You don't get taxed on nearly as much in the military. So many of you don't know this. When you get out, you go through your separation briefings, you do your clearing and all that stuff. There's a point where you sit down and there's somebody in the out processing center that says, hey, here, this is how many years. I had 24 years, 3 months, 3 days. Here's the calculations. Here's what your retirement check's going to be. Here, how much taxes do you want taken out for federal and state? And I was like, what? I wasn't ready for that. And so I said, well, what do you recommend? She goes, well, it's like this percentage, so probably this amount. I said, okay, I'll do that. So it was a nice lady. I did it. And I got out November 1st. I was fine that year, only 2 months. The next year I owed over $11,000 because I didn't take out enough. And the reason is my second paycheck from my new job bumped me into totally different tax brackets and knocked everything out of whack. And I ended up having to the next year take out $800 additional dollars to make it all work out. And so I just tell people, and I know a lot of people got hit by that tax check, that first full year getting just blasted on taxes. So I'll just tell you, go speak with some tax professionals. I know they have certified financial advisors for free on base. Talk to them, project what you think you're going to make. You can always go back into MyPay and adjust the amounts that are taken out, but make sure you get ahead of that. Don't get hit with that bill. I should have started earlier. I thought I had 7 more years. The assignments came out. My former spouse said she didn't want to move anymore. I can't blame her. She finally had a great career. We moved 7 times in 9 years. But I had to fit 200 informational interviews, resumes, interview prep, career exploration, VA benefits, mandatory TAP classes, on top of being a G3 Sergeant Major for a 2-star command. And I had to do it all early enough that I could start applying to jobs 3 months out from the day I could start. And so, that's a lot. So I will tell you, I wish I'd started a year or 2 earlier. So 2 to 3 years out, I wish that I just started networking, started sharing some content on LinkedIn, started talking to people about what they do so I could do the career exploration piece. And then it would allow me to space out those calls and everything else and reduce the stress. And the benefit of that is you don't need anything at that point. So there's no awkward ask on any of the calls. You're literally just looking for advice. You can't take a job if they want to give it to you. Get it in writing. I know a lot of people that have paused their job searches because somebody said, I have a job for you. I've got you. Don't worry about it. And they ended up getting screwed. And I'll also share that I had a opportunity where I supported an organization and we had an agreement, and I trusted them completely. And I did all the work, and it all went through, and there was 7 figures owed. And the person that was responsible for taking care of me, that I trusted implicitly, left on maternity leave for like 4 months. And while they were out of the office, the company swept up all the money and spent it. And I didn't have anything in writing. And so I didn't get it. And so that was a big gut punch. And so I just tell everybody, like, if you're going to do work for someone, make sure you get a contract, get it in writing. Don't make the same mistake I did. VA healthcare. Sign up immediately. Like, as soon as you're eligible, get out. I have so many, like, I had TRICARE. I waited 6 years to sign up for VA healthcare. Look, it's not an either or, right? Like, you can't, there's no additional cost. If you're a disabled veteran, a retiree, whatever, you're eligible for VA healthcare, just Google register for VA healthcare, and it takes 5 minutes to sign up. They have access to your medical records. They do your, boom. They'll schedule a there's even a button you click to have them call you and schedule your initial appointment with a PCM. I mean, it was amazing. And here's the thing. My PCM, the first time I went to see her, handed me a business card with her name, her phone number, and email. She said, just call or email if you need anything. Never had that happen in a 24-year career with the military treatment facilities. Number two, for 6 years, I'd been paying copays for my CPAP supplies. I've been paying, they did not give me inserts for my bad feet, and no chiropractic or acupuncture with TRICARE. And I'm on TRICARE Prime here. There's a military treatment facility that's really pretty decent around here. And there's no reason I needed to do that. So I signed up for VA healthcare, got 2 pairs of inserts, custom inserts made, orthotics. I got community care for chiropractic and acupuncture, no copays. 10 minutes away from me, I drive. I got my stuff, my CPAP stuff moved over to the VA system. Now I just go into the screen and click when I need stuff. They mail it to me. If I get a medication from my TRICARE, whoever I see at TRICARE, I can actually just go onto My Health Vet and send a message to my PCM, and she just moves it over to the VA system. They mail it to me. I mean, it's that simple. So, and I get to decide which one I want to use. So urgent care, healthcare, and my kids are on my TRICARE. We just go over to the MTF and they're fine. They have an urgent care right there. I walk in, it's like sick call. You sit there for a couple hours, but you get it all done. I have to go talk to dermatology. I like the clinic I go to in Walter Reed, the cancer center there. And so I'll make appointments there and go see them. But I can call both and see what appointments are available and pick and choose. So, like, do yourself a favor. Better to have and not need, and need and not have. And so go ahead and register for both and have both coverages. And then the last part is I should have prepared my soldiers. I was a pretty decent guy, but most of it was when I was a battalion CSM. My soldiers were getting out. I'm like, what are you doing? They're going to, I'm going to college. And I'm like, what are you going to study? What college? Have you applied? I asked questions, and then somewhere like, I'm getting out. And I'm like, well, don't say you're getting out. Say you're considering getting out. And because if you say you're getting out, most leaders are going to be like, well, we're writing you off. We're not sending you to training. We're not doing anything else like that. And, it shouldn't have been like that. So, now I just explained, the best recruiter for any branch of service is a well-transitioned service member. 22 a day. Suicides are impacted by the loss of community, the loss of purpose, the loss of mission, not having a steady job, finding and feeling alone. The military never checks up on us after we get out. And, I just feel like we could do better. And so what I'll share is that I believe in the military life cycle transition that Congress mandated but never got implemented, where we should be giving service members incremental transition-related content at key points throughout an entire career, so that by the time you get out of 20 years, or by the time you're first sergeant, you've had 10 to 15 years of training, so you can at least be knowledgeable and support your people. And the other thing is just a culture shift. Is somebody a bad person because they get out after 4 years or 5 years? No, they're an honorable veteran. We can't look down on people that made a decision to pursue another path. And so I would encourage leaders out there, enlisted and officer, to incorporate transition-related content into their training schedules so that people don't have to hide or feel like they're on an island. And you could do it very easily by just going to your transition center, the education center, asking for resources. I know, like Prescott Farris, who runs the VA TAP contract, said that his VA counselors will go speak at units about all the different programs they have. I know that there's you can get like federal resume classes. You could do all this stuff pretty simple and not have to pay for it. Of course, you could also bring in speakers. I'm available to go speak to units, but there usually is a cost, especially if I have to travel. But incorporate it into your program so it doesn't make people feel like they're alone or on the outside. So those are my 10 tips. All right, so a couple other topics for the day. Over the last week, I had a couple interesting posts based off of engagement with people. One of them was questions that I would ask people that say that they're a PM or a program manager. And so there's this, I talk about this. The PMP cert is a fantastic certification. I've seen places where it has been valued as PMP with a bachelor's degree was valued as much as a master's degree from a big name school. I've seen that on government contracts. I've also seen where the PMP is not worth anything, right? Because you don't have any industry experience, no relevant experience. And so there's a misnomer that every leader is a project manager or a program manager if you're a senior. Because of course, when I was a sergeant major, I'm a program manager. I'm a sergeant major. I should be in charge of multiple projects. But there are a lot of things that are involved in project management that I did not know. And so what I'll say is go check out that post if you get a chance. But there's one of the things I had a couple of people say, they like gulp. Like I didn't like, if you think you're a project manager, but the only way you've ever managed projects are through IPR slides on PowerPoint, you're not a project manager out here yet. Not yet. There's gaps. And you've got to be able to talk to financials and scope and everything else like that. And so it's not just you're a senior leader, you're used to being in charge, you can manage a project. There's a lot more involved. So I would encourage you to check out that post. I'll also say SkillBridge. There's a lot of change coming with SkillBridge. And we just got invited to one of the roundtables to get advised on it and everything. And a lot of people are unsure of it. But, what I think comes down to at the end of the day is that SkillBridge was created, and I wrote it down, to give people transitioning service members high probability of post-service employment by that SkillBridge provider, by that company or other companies. And, when we talk about SkillBridge, we talk about internships, apprenticeship, OJT, training, job shadowing. But unfortunately, there have been a lot of misuses of the program. There have been a lot of employers that considered it free labor. There have been a lot that of training programs that had no pathway to post-military employment, right? And so, I wrote a post a couple days ago about 20 questions. Actually, I think it was yesterday. 20 questions I'd ask about SkillBridge internships. And so I broke it down into two 10-question segments. One is about an internship, like a full-time working for a company internship. And what it boils down to is you need to do the exploration of the role and the post-internship hiring potential before making that decision. So what are you going to do every day? What is the type of role? Where is it going to be? Do you have headcount open for it already? Is there a role for me to finish this and go into? Yes. What is that title? How much is that going to, what's the salary range for the people in those roles? Those kinds of questions. You don't just pick a SkillBridge to get away. You pick a SkillBridge to prepare you and fill gaps for post-military employment. And so at Higher Military, every SkillBridge internship we present has a pathway to continued employment. In fact, we had one employer wanted 3 people for one role, and we're like, this is not Survivor. We're not having 3 people fight over one role. You get one person for one role. If you get extra headcount, you can get 2 or 3. So that's why we have a 97% job offer rate, because people know going in what the role is. They're working as a member of the team. And, if they perform, they're going to get the job offer at the end. They know the salary range when they get out to get that offer. Now, for the training piece, there's been some not above board training things out there. I know there's been some where it's like 3 to 4 months and minimal to earn some kind of online cert. And I will say that training opportunities with SkillBridge, and there's some fantastic programs that just aren't in line with training pipelines. Remember, training is supposed to prepare you for high probability of post-service employment. And so if you don't, my questions for training is, what is a training? What is a cert? Are you paying for the cert? Are there any expenses involved? There's supposed to be minimal or no expense for the service member. Like you shouldn't be using your GI Bill to do a SkillBridge, right? So you should be getting the training piece for the SkillBridge. And then what jobs are at the end? Do you already have employers identified that hire? Who are they? What are the jobs? What are the roles? Again, with the focus on what is the post-military employment piece. It doesn't do you any good to go through all this training and not get a job, or have to go find a job, or go try to find your way. I know a lot of people that do cyber or career boot camps and get nothing. Like, they get training, no certs, they spend their GI Bill, and they have a check-in once a week where the provider says, "Did you find a job yet?" Like, no, that's not good, right? So if you're going into a training program, what is the employment pipeline? What is the job title? Is that certification valued on current job recs? Can you go look for it in a job site, in a careers page, in Monster, Indeed, Google, whatever, LinkedIn jobs, and see that is a preferred requirement for that job? If the answer is yes, then what does your pipeline look like? How much do you make? You got to do this research. And I'll tell you, a couple of companies that have really done it right that we've worked with are Texas Instruments. They've hired every one of them coming out. They know exactly what they're doing. They train them specifically for those roles. And the other one is SkillStorm. We had just had 8 out of 9 accept their offers. They did SkillBridge. They all earned Net Plus, A Plus, Sec Plus, and now they're going into a paid training cycle. And they already accepted jobs after the paid training cycle with 6-figure jobs in the DC area. So those are ones that do it right. There's a job lined up at the end, and then. I guess the last point, as I get ready to sign off, is to just talk about the joint venture with SkillStorm, Tenova SkillStorm. Some of you don't know, Tenova is the actual company, Teamwork and Innovation, and Hire Military is one of our brands. Hire Military is a brand of Tenova, powered by Tenova. We are a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business. We do a bunch of work in training, education, marketing, staffing, government contracting. And we love the SkillStorm model, so we formed a joint venture with SkillStorm, the Tenova SkillStorm JV. For those of you that aren't aware, a joint venture is like a marriage between two companies. It creates a separate entity, and that company can bid and support contracts as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. So now we have the capacity to, using the SkillStorm model, SkillStorm, they build and deploy custom teams of certified technologists and deploy them on government contracts in support of the big government contractors. So basically, you're looking for these tech stacks, and there's like 150 different tech stacks. We find the people. We bring a lot of veterans, service members, military spouses, people with TS clearances that are willing to go do these jobs. We run them through the paid training cycle, and then they get a job on these government contractors with a 97.5% retention rate over 2 years, and significant increase in the company's margins, and we help them meet their disadvantaged business goals. So super excited to see where that's going. We've already got some successes that'll be coming out, but really excited to partner with a company that provides these training and these opportunities. For me, the big piece is I see so many people go through training boot camps and not get jobs on the back end. This one, you don't get a training program unless there's already a job on the back end. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up 2 minutes late. I got a minute. And just call out our other great partner, Veteran Service Brands. Veteran Service Brands is a franchise. They've got 4 different models. They've got G-Force, which does parking lot striping. They've got Mach 1, does epoxy floors. They got Field Ops, which does athletic field marking. And they've got Paint Core, which does commercial and residential painting. The beauty of their franchises, I think they've got 80 franchises around the country, all veteran owned. And so if you're going to hire someone to do any of that, wouldn't you want a veteran to come do it and a veteran to bring his team to come do it? And so if you're interested, they are looking for additional franchisees for any of those brands, depending on the areas. We're going to be down in January with them down in Clearwater for the better part of a week to talk to the team. I haven't had a much better time than being out there with all those veterans and hearing how it changed their lives. And then, just take a look, keep an eye out for them. And the one question is, what's out there for guys in military aviation? Hey, for military aviation, I'd reach out to Amber Pitkin on our higher military team and see what she's got. She's been working with a lot of the aviation firms to do some incredible stuff with Skillbridge and direct hire. She can point you in the right direction. That's Amber Pitkin. All right. Well, that's it. 30 minutes is done. Thank you all. And I will see you next week as soon as I hit this.